fast, run them jewels fast, run them slow mo.
Comeback edition of Uncut. We haven't been on the air for about 4 weeks, so thank you so much for joining us tonight. And we're very happy to have as our guest the Leadership Intervention Unit, the LIU. We always hear about them on the news, and the name might seem remote, but these guys have really been working. I'm joined tonight by William Dawson. He's the chairman of the LIU, and Deputy Commissioner of Police, Richard Rosado, who is an executive member. And these gentlemen have been studying crime at the most profound level in Belize. And I think their work and their broad-based consultation gives us the most realistic chance of starting to address, meaningfully address, this wicked problem that confronts our society at multiple levels. So let us start tonight, Mr. Dawson, as briefly or as concisely as you can. For those out there who don't know, what does the LIU do?
Well, if I could answer that, basically the LIU is a coalition of stakeholders under the auspices of the Minister of Home Affairs, Honorable Karim Musa, and we strive to implement our objectives by strengthening the partnership with key stakeholders, the churches, the NGOs, civil societies, and other stakeholders in order to bring more resources to the table, both technical and material, in order for us to address crime in concert with each other. And the main idea is to promote a shared vision in managing crime.
No, but then when you're saying this as a police officer, immediately my antennae go up, because I'm saying that the thing that is distrusted most in crime-affected communities is the beast, the police. They have been using systematic force in many of these neighborhoods for generations, and it's created a lot of ill will. Mr. Dawson, how do you all counter that?
I would agree with you that our tactic for the police department have been reliant on suppression, social control, and legal sanction. We have based our tactic on what is called a deterrence theory, and we have realized that the deterrence theory basically exacerbates the problem, and it basically creates that gang cohesion. And
so you accept that suppression has not yielded optimal results?
We believe that the suppression, the social control, and legal sanction have exacerbated the issue.
That is a great admission. You know, Dr. Herbert Gale was on this show about a year and a half ago, and he said that you cannot use suppression as effectively as a tactic against, particularly against descendants of slaves or enslaved persons, descendants of enslaved persons, because that is the history, and they will resist. Any human would. But explain to me, Mr. Dawson, how do you gain inroads into these communities and build the confidence that's necessary, especially when you have a partner who is not universally trusted within these communities?
Well, the thing about it, Jules, is that we have to look towards the issue as it is a public health crisis. And in that regard, what we have done is look at the behavioral pattern and the source of some of the issues that affect persons, especially in these impoverished communities. And I worked at the prison, as I've told you, being the director of the Wagner's Youth Facility. And what we did, we piloted different programs within the facility with the blessings of CEO Mario, and worked with young persons, creating a nurturing environment, a supportive environment, using positive reinforcement instead of arbitrarily sanctioning them. Like you rightly mentioned, people have been abused, for lack of a better word, by police using that uniform.
We see on the TV some of the basketball programs that you all have done in the communities as well.
Right.
But continue about this nurturing.
Right. So we create that nurturing environment. We have to also agree that these children are suffering from trauma. All of us are suffering from different levels of trauma.
Explain to me. We hear, but I don't think a lot of us understand how deep these traumas go. What has been your first-hand experience in dealing with young men who have never really been loved, or no one has said to them, "I love you, son"?
Well, you know, that's the truth. Many of them lack that love and affection. They don't know what love is. I can also tell you, whether you're spiritual or you're religious or not, they don't know God. So they have no regards for life. And that's scary coming from a young person. So the minute you look at these young men and say, you know what, young man, you're an intelligent, you're a very handsome young person, like, what, where you come with, you know? And so that opened the door to allow us to understand that they lack that emotional intelligence. They lack that ability to reason. They have been combating their entire lives to survive.
So that points to a breakdown in parenting.
It boils down to parenting, but also the reality that the parents are also victims.
Right.
And so it's a generational curse, I would call it, where some of these children are growing up with inherited baggage from previous misunderstanding long before their time. And so they're just practicing a pattern that they've grown to accept as normalcy when it's not. They have never been allowed to live a normal child's life. And so you have young persons, like I'll give you one example. One young man told me on an occasion he preferred to stay in the sanctioned area of the facility because outside is too much noise, he said. That's how he referred to it.
Too much noise.
It's too much noise. That's how he referred to it. And so I have a lot of experience working with young people. When I was a teacher, I taught for 13 years at Leadville Technical High. And so I like music. So I noticed that he's always tapping and singing. And so one day I gave him a bag of chips and a juice, and was playing some reggae music. And I walked out of the office, and when I came back, he asked me if I could play a certain song. I said, well, okay, no problem. Anyway, I asked him the big question. I said, why do you behave that way? He said, sir, there's something about you that I've opened up until that I've never told anyone. I was raped at 7 years old. How would you feel as a big man being 7 years old and a man your size took advantage of you? And he broke down in tears. And I allowed him to breathe and express himself in that moment. And he was looking to me, see if I was judging him. And I said, you're strong, you know that? Because I don't know if I would be able to say that in the open so easily. And that was when I realized that, you know what, we have a lot of work on our hands.
So many of these young men are carrying all these traumas.
Right.
And it's not just a slight trauma like, okay, my mom never hugged me a lot. These young men, a lot of them, young boys, as boys and girls, they witness a frightening level of violence. They're exposed constantly to the marijuana trade. They're exposed to people hiding guns. If you know the gunman, they come living in constant fear of the gunman. The gunman, they lurk, many of them, not all. And so, you know, a lot of people in society just see it as, why they ain't so bad? Why they ain't like kill?
Okay.
But try to explain, if you can, how does a young person's mind work when they have been their whole life exposed to crime and constantly fearing that they can fall victim to crime? It leaves you with a sense of almost nihilism. You're not believing in nothing.
Right. No, but that's exactly right. You hit the nail on the head. And that is why you need to provide alternatives and make sure that they have that safe space to be children, the child that they are, providing sports, providing alternative educational opportunities, which is a huge factor. The educational system does not cater for some of these young persons who, for whatever reason, maybe it is that they have some type of learning disorder, or like Howard Garner said, they have a different style of learning, that the chalk and talk and the reading and writing is just not for them. And so we had to provide them with computer-aided learning programs using the technology so that they can get on a laptop and do self-learning. And it worked so well that we've noticed that the young men started to grasp the information in a quicker space of time than when they're in the classroom. And we have seen young men started off in the prison not being able to read and graduating from the kind of online high school program with their diploma from behind the prison. Now, that's not fair, people would say, because it looks like you have to get trouble if you get access to these avenues, and that is not what we want. We want to be able to provide these type of necessities for young persons before they reach that stage of no return.
Now, Mr. Dawson, you're a social worker, but Mr. Rosado, you are an academic. A lot of people don't know that you are Dr. Rosado. But you're a law enforcer. Now, your experience and approach is very different from his, but you all have fused your strengths. Now, what he's talking about is that one-to-one issue, but as I understand it, your job or the mission of the LIU is to take that idea of breaking through this blockage of pain and trauma, and try to create a more stable overall environment using structural means. And that made you embark on a large consultation. You all both engaged on a large consultative process at many levels of the community. Explain that process and where you are with it now.
Honestly, I think the time is, we are at an opportune time that you invite us here, and I'm happy for that. The LIU has been in consultation with key stakeholders, members from the chamber, the unions, the churches, the guys on the street, and we have been consulting for over a year. And we wanted to come up with a holistic plan of how we will address this wicked problem that you mentioned, the crime situation. And we finished the strategic plan is completed now. Now the revision team, which is headed by Dr. McKay, they are doing the last revision aspect of it before we launch. So it should be launched within a week or two from now. Now, there's key things in there that the stakeholders want us to do in terms of one of the strategic plan. When it is launched, you will see they will mention about reform, restructuring, and rebuilding the police organization. In the strategic plan, they will also discuss capacity and capability. You will notice they will discuss in the strategic plan will also speaks about performance management and leadership. It will also speak about effective, positive change, both at the individual and the institutional level. And also at the same time, increasing the concept of smart policing. It will also speaks about the three-tier approach to crime control and crime prevention. The strategic plan will also speaks about the evaluating and exploring the effective leadership and management at the individual, departmental, and the organizational level. So the plan is a holistic plan.
This sounds like a 500-page plan, sir.
Well, it's over 100 pages.
Over 100 pages, okay. And so where are you with that right now?
Well, we have completed the consultation, and we have already put together the document. Now it's with the review committee.
So who all was consulted? How broad-based was this consultation?
We have the NTUCB. The president was a member of the group. In fact, he's a member of the he basically attended all the meetings. We had the two representatives from Chamber. We had the Council of Churches. We had community members. We had the at-risk youths from the ground, from the street, community members. So it was broad-based consultation. And it took us an entire year for us to be able to finish the consultation and put together the document.
Even the prison is also.
Yes, even the prison. The prison, the forensic department, they were also a part of the team.
Now, you know, there's an old saying that the worst vice is too much advice.
Yeah.
Right? That if you listen to everybody, you won't get anywhere.
The thing is, it's good that you mentioned that because sometimes we had some heated debate and we did not advance. Sometimes we had the sessions that we were meeting with the stakeholders, them, and it was a back and forth, because they wanted to push their agenda also, what they believe this is the way we should go. And at the end of the day, we had to reach some compromise. One of the challenging part was the Council of Churches.
Really?
Yes. The thing is that the plan was built on a humanistic approach. And when we developed the concept of humanistic, we wanted to encapsulate three basic things: the respect for human dignity, the bringing the stakeholders them together, and submitting your practices and strategy to societal critique. The issue we had with the churches was the respect for human dignity. So we had to reach a compromise in the document in terms of human dignity.
Human
dignity.
But is there a spiritual dimension to that?
Well, they had a spiritual definition of dignity.
I see.
And we had to see how we reach some compromise with that. But at the end of the day, all the stakeholders agree, you know what, this is the way forward.
But what must those meetings have been like? Or I know you have them with different groups at different times. But how do you weigh the respective opinions? For example, I might argue that, well, the Chamber of Commerce is completely out of touch with what is actually driving violence on the street, A, and B, they refuse to accept their own role in building ivory castles and pretending you could build a fence up to the sky to keep all the bad men out. That is an illusion, because we have to live in our society. So how do you weigh their perspective versus that of the gang youths that you all also took input from, who have a very realistic understanding of the extremely basic needs they are trying to fulfill? When you got to get some food, your brother have to be your enemy. Catch and kill. How do you weigh those different interests?
You would be surprised that all the stakeholders, they had their input, and you know what, this is the way we should go. And at the end of the day, you will notice that we all speak with one common theme. And that common theme was what we were able to advance in our strategic plan. And that's how we came up with the three-tier approach. And we believe that the three-tier approach is the way. And the three-tier approach took into consideration all the concern from the stakeholders. It took into consideration what was done in the past and how, and what impact it had and what shortfall it had. So it basically, we took into consideration everything from all the stakeholders. And everybody had contribution. And now when it is launched, our implementation plan, you will see that the stakeholders, each one of them, they have how they can contribute to the implementation plan.
So everyone accepts that they have a different role?
Yes.
Now, explain to me the difference in perspectives between the various participants in the consultation, and specifically what the gang youths, what was their input? Because my experience is that a lot of them feel that they bear the brunt of society's neglect, that the big businesses don't care, the churches don't care, the politicians only care to use them for their votes. What was their input like?
Well, that's the great part of the multi-sectoral approach, because it's an all hands on deck approach. And the reality is that we have been studying. There has been so many assessments done. The experts, like you mentioned earlier on, Dr. Gale and others, who have said, this is your problem. But the truth is, we have not taken on the challenge of truly addressing the problem at its core.
Only superficially.
Only superficially. And when you look at the amount of hungry children on the ground, families living beyond below their means, it breaks your heart. And like you also said, these children are going to say, like, nobody cares, that nobody loves me, so why worry about what happens to me? I will just live until it's my time to die. And that is really sad, because if we understand what the problem is, there has been millions of dollars being passed, if not billions, through this country every year. And I believe that there was never the political will to change the status quo as it relates to the lifestyle of these people. And so what we are trying to invoke now is that participation from all the stakeholders to say, you know what, you notice the great gesture from the Chinese community after the Hurricane Lisa, and that is what is needed, that we said, you know what, then the same people purchase from our stores, why not give them an opportunity or a helping hand? That way, you can have an all-inclusive society where you're looking at building and reinforcing your human resource, which is the greatest resource of your country.
But fixing it, as you are alluding to, is not even a three-dimensional problem. It must be 300 dimensions. We will take our first commercial break. When we come back, we'll ask these gentlemen, what are the real steps that can be taken in the short term and the medium term to address the cycle of violence? Now, their minister is already advertising that their work is paying off, and I will challenge them that it's not the crime rating, I believe, district gone down, sake of the SOE, not the LIU. We'll have that debate with them. When we come back, we'll take our first commercial break now. Please stay tuned.
Run them jewels fast, run them jewels fast, run them slow mo.
It's an massive season with massive deals and rewards at Penny's. From now through December 31st, earn double P-Bucks on store-wide purchasing every Friday and Saturday. That's right, 2 times the P-Bucks, which means 2 times the cash back when shopping at Penny's. Plus, get even more rewards with P-Bucks Builders on home goods, tiles, appliances, paints, and lights. And don't forget, there's also massive deals and discounts on tiles and the best brands in paints like Benjamin Moore and BH. Rewards, deals, P-Bucks. You can get it all this massive season only at Penny's, celebrating 75 years of quality and savings.
Technology is ubiquitous, and it's transforming how, when, and where we work. Fulltech Systems is placing award-winning devices in the hands of information workers, allowing them to work without compromise in a world without wires, to innovate, create, and to maximize productivity anytime, anywhere, satisfying the needs of the desk-centric remote and field worker and every other worker in between. We are providing the industry's best devices to businesses going through the process of digital transformation. Partner with us today to provide the solutions that will allow your employees to work effectively and efficiently to enhance your customers' experience. Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.
The ocean connects us. The ocean feeds us. The ocean heals us. But the ocean needs us to stop all the damage. There is no economy without ecosystems. We can restore bounty. There can be abundant new life.
It will take all of us, government and country leaders, Scientist.
Fisher.
Artist.
Youth leader.
Ocean co-manager.
Business person.
Media.
Teacher. Banker.
Working together to safeguard everything the Caribbean Sea sustains. Revitalization is the goal. Collective action is how we'll make it happen. Join Belize's demand for action from the people who can do what needs to be done. Visit belize.oceana.org to find out how you can get involved.
Nando's Wholesale is the distributor for the full line of Badia spices, including the original complete seasoning, the perfect combination of ingredients and spices prepared to enhance the natural flavor of your favorite foods. Also, cinnamon powder for all your desserts, fruits, and beverages, and as special dishes. All these are available in commercial sizes or restaurant packaging. Nando's products are available at your local retailer or contact us at 222-5000. From Corozal to Toledo, Nando's is proud to be serving Belize as its #1 wholesale distributor for over 35 years.
¿Sabías que Hospital Galenia modificó los protocolos de seguridad y prevención de salud ante la pandemia de COVID-19 para evitar contagios?
Garantizamos contener a los pacientes que allí estamos manejando y disminuir riesgos de infecciones para el resto del hospital.
Hospital Galenia, más que un hospital.
We don't give count. Yes, shoppers, in giving thanks, Mikado's introducing a new sale, the best one yet. It's not a Thanksgiving sale, it's a Give Thanks sale. Thanks for making Mikado Belize's #1 textile store. Join us in a massive Give Thanks sale on November 25th and 26th. That's 2 days of Give Thanks sale. So, you just can't let the sale slide by you, as you know. Yes, and the sale goes on. So come on down to Mikado on Friday the 25th and Saturday the 26th of November and get your home furnishing and decor all at great prices that only Mikado can give you. Your one-stop for fabrics and so much more. Mikado at number 37 Albert Street. Give Thanks Sale, your textile palace.
This massive season, get rewarded and build up your B-Bucks at Benny's. Look out for the special B-Bucks Builder sticker when purchasing tiles, paints, home goods, appliances, and more to earn 10, 20, 50, or even 300 B-Bucks on a single item. Remember, B-Bucks is free money. The more you build up your B-Bucks, the more you have to use across all Benny's locations and entities. Make this Christmas season massive with B-Bucks. B-Bucks, rewarding loyalty.
You have been a safe driver all your life when an unavoidable accident happens. But this does not mean that your insurance premium must increase. With RF&G's Accident Forgiveness Program, safe drivers will not lose their no-claims discounts because of those minor, unavoidable accidents. For more information on RF&G's Accident Forgiveness Program, contact us at 223-5734. When it comes to motor insurance, it pays to get it right with RF&G Insurance, a Road Group company.
Run them jewels fast, run them jewels fast, run them slow mo.
Welcome back to Uncut. We're here, we're joined by Dr. Richard Rosado. He's a Deputy Commissioner of Police, specially assigned to be an executive member of the Leadership Intervention Unit. And William Dawson, he's the chairman of the Intervention Unit and a social worker by profession and training. Gentlemen, we spoke in the first segment about the consultation. We spoke about the manifestation of trauma in our society. But what people out there want to know is, when will we fix this problem? When will we stop have gang violence? When we ain't done? We're tired of it go on for 30, 40 years, 30 years. But wicked problems have no easy solutions. Explain to me, what can society expect for a short or medium-term solution? And also, if you want a solution, you have to play a part in it as well.
Of course.
Because you may see it as, well, this is a South Side problem, or it's not my problem, not in my house. But it affects all of us, and we all play a part in it. What should we expect? Manage our expectations, sir.
Well, like we said, it has to be a collaboration. We collaborated with the Department of Youth Services and the University of Belize to do a family needs survey. It was important to get into the homes in the most impoverished area, which I believe was really lacking, to sit and interview and hear and find out what's happening in these homes. And that's a key component. And so once you understand that there's a great need and urgency to look at how it is that you can assist in this regard and have agencies, the necessary agencies, social services, human development, women's department, look at what they can do, the Chamber of Commerce, the churches, how it is that all of us can come together and bring resources, bring support, provide positive reinforcement, promoting pro-social behavior. That's the first step forward. Also making sure that this is not a political program, because you can't play politics with people's lives. It's the politics that have, in my opinion, enabled this type of lifestyle and environment. And so,
stick a pin on that, because I have said this on many occasions. We have to accept that what in Jamaica would be called garrison constituencies, and in Belize those are Fort George, Queen Square, Mesopotamia, Lake Independence. Those are the strongest seats for their respective PUDP parties and the colored constituency. Strongest, safest seats. And they're all riddled by poverty and gang violence. Without naming names, and everybody knows who the names are, there has to be a pattern in this, that the red and the blue, the color of the gangs and of the political parties, have to have their success somehow linked to the very strong presence of gangs in these constituencies. These gangs deliver votes for politicians. That's real.
Yeah, that's why we share the view that the crime situation has to be viewed from a political context in terms of economic circumstances and development. And social development program have to be an integral part of the equation. Now, when we sat and discussed how we would have moved forward in the initial stage, the first stage we identify what would have been our guiding thrust, and our plan is guided by 3 strategic thrusts: the multi-sectoral collaboration, the reform, and the smart policing. And if I could highlight the 3 tier, we believe that if we focus on the 3 tier, which we have classified tier 1 to be those programs, those initiatives that will focus on the social and situational factors that are the most likely to cause an individual to go into crime.
So that's tier 1.
Tier 1.
Social and situational factors.
And so those are things like unemployment, lack of educational opportunity, recreation facilities, the housing, the things like those, we refer to those as the environment they live in.
And that tier 1?
Tier 1.
Okay.
And those are that tier 1 would be the most challenging part for us. And we have recognized that. And at tier 2, we look at those programs, those initiatives that would focus on those individuals who are more likely to commit a crime. And hence the reason we have we want to focus on the conflict dispute center. We want to focus on youth intervention programs, school intervention programs. So the dispute center, the conflict, the mediation would be on tier 2. And that's what the behavior modification office, the director, who is Mr. William Dawson, is basically focusing on.
Behavior modification office.
Yes.
Okay. So now tier 2 is for people who would be what are called combatants.
Yes.
To try and.
Because you'd be surprised that now the guys reach out to us, to reach out to the behavior modification center whenever the problems are developing. And when problems are developing.
What is their incentive to do that?
Honestly, I think they rather than going to further bloodshed, they have realized, they have a voice. And we are their voice. The conflict team is their voice. And many of them, what they're saying, we do not want to resort to violence. Let us come to the table and settle it. And you'll be surprised that different gang fractions come to the table along with Mr. William Dawson, and they try to settle it. Even though initially you would see in the mediation session, intervention session, there would be heated conflict, heated discussion. But at the end of the day, in most cases, they would left feeling satisfied. And I think that is an essential component in our model that we developed.
But I can challenge you guys and say that this has been done for at least 20 years. I've been seeing from CYDP, Mr. Broster used to do mediation all the time. Restore Belize used to do mediation. One spell, Mr. Chester, when he wanted to win hearts and minds, he used to do mediation.
But
Diana and Nuri.
You have to accept that it was done in isolation of the other 2 tiers. And the support system were not there. Now we have put together a model that is a 3-tier approach.
So tell me about tier 3 now.
No, tier 3 is basically now where are we coming? The police department, in terms of the criminal justice system, in terms of the enforcement, in terms of our policing strategy.
But where is human development in this? Tier 3 should be human development.
Tier 3 is basically basically we have put it together as the enforcement aspect of it when a crime has been committed. That's our role.
Human development is in tier 1.
Yeah.
So the Department of Human Development is in tier 1.
Yes.
Okay. So.
And all the 3 tiers, they must work simultaneously. They must communicate in order for it to be successful. We have recognized that for our plan to be effective, there must be collaboration across the government agencies, across the different private sectors, the sectors, along with the community.
But I'm not an expert, but it would seem to me that having the police at tier 3 seems to an outsider inherently punitive. It's like, we give you a chance in at tier 1, we give you another chance in at tier 2, and then tier 3, Chester's favorite line. I give you the carrot, now I'll be coming with that stick. I come for lash on.
Well, that's important that we create a balance, because at the end of the day, and this is another misconception of the public, that we're powdering these guys. No, if it is that we're trying to work with you and create opportunities and provide that support that you need, and you don't want to accept that, then there has to be that point that the police and the judiciary have you in mind, because you obviously don't want to access this, and that is where the balance has to be created. Very importantly is that we spoke about that emotional intelligence. I love the fact that I worked in a prison, because it gives me the confidence to continue doing what we're doing, knowing the fact that, yes, these boys are very violent in the environment and in society, but at prison I see them talk, they walk, they eat, they sleep together, and they don't try to. I don't remember on a few occasions where there's riots for several different reasons at the prison, these boys communicate well. And when they're there, there's not those similar violent tendencies and behavior, but bad to bad, Mr. Morio has a structure in place.
But what is it about that prison environment that makes them lose some of that? Obviously, you don't have access to weapons, you don't have access to your clique, you have to bond with other peoples, but you're saying that a lot of what feeds the violence is environmental.
Right. And that culture whereby some of these boys, the only badge they have is that badge that they receive through violence. One young man told me, said, Mr. Darcy, so people respect you and you could talk and you could, win people over with your charm. He said, I get my badge in by commit crime in the street.
And that is the important element of gang life. Mm-hmm. Many young men choose to enter gangs because it is the first time anyone will take notice of them. They have lived a life of being ignored perhaps by their mother or their parent, and we know that has a deep basal effect on a developing child.
Right.
When the boy is rejected by the mother, and we understand the social factors that influence this. A lot of times the mother may have another man in the home and he doesn't want competition. We know all these things. So boys into young men who've been rejected by parents, they feel they've been rejected by schools, then the police, the confidant. So parents, then principals, and then the police. They seek to join gangs because it gives them power. Explain that psychology for us.
Well, that is where we have the breakthrough. Because remember, you're saying that they're joining that gang for power, for protection, for support. But that is just a facade. Because when they commit their crimes and they go to prison, there's no support, there is no backative. They're on their own. I can tell you on occasions where only the Human Development, CRD, Community Rehabilitation Department, assisted us at the prison with providing toiletries, other important items that children need for these young men. And some of them have very reputable reputation on the street, but when they're there, there's no boss to send anything for them. None of their friends visit them or call them. And so that is when you capture them and say, you know what, how about being in a different group with a different mindset, and here are positive alternatives, highlighting what are the positive things within, not the negative things. So when you come into that facility, you don't come with that badge, boy, don't push down 4 man. We don't want to hear that. We want to know what Jules Vasquez is about, who you are, what are your talents and skills. You notice so, and then a rapper, and when you say, boy, you know, a bad rapper, it means so much to them. Write one song for me, but write no gunman song, write a song about positive things. So it's all about mentorship has to be the current sense.
But that is fine and well in the prison. But when you take them outside, nobody want to hear them rap. Hold a gun, go do a thing. I am just saying that the prison is an interesting petri dish. You can teach people skills, but when they get outside, they learn for the mechanic in a prison. When they get outside, they don't got no tools. They had tools at prison. So, I saw a great program you guys are doing at Tobal. It's inspiring, but also they need an infrastructure to work in. You can't just say, well, you learn the skill. Now, when you go back in your neighborhood, you got a screwdriver. So I am saying that, are we really creating change, or are we just doing things? If you say, boy, the man rap one positive song. But when you go back in the hood,
and that is exactly
to rap about.
Why the LIU is pushing for that multi-sectoral approach, so that we'll continue to use the prison, because what we have been able to ascertain over the years is that in that controlled environment, yes, they're doing well when they go about it. It's the infested kennel syndrome, where they're cleaned up nicely and push them back with the ticks, they grab them again. So you have to have that support, and that's why the Leadership Intervention Unit is suggesting that you go through that training. When you finish that training, there's a startup fund, you get your tools. Not only that, you get on-the-job training skill experience, where you can look at positive alternatives and ways to make money other than just stealing. So these are things that we have to look at. Looking at the statistics, there's a high level of crimes of dishonesty. burglaries, robberies, these type of things, obviously because of the high level of poverty. So we have to make these boys marketable, employable, teach them new skills that they can say, look, okay, look, how the immigrants they come in. You just say you need a job from the big man, from the minister. But then people come in there and say, nobody knows. Find coconut trees all over the country, chop them, put them in bottles, and we buy the water. And they make huge sums of money. So these are the conversations that we have to have with them. We're working on a farm project closely with the Ministry of Agriculture where they're going to learn beekeeping, animal husbandry, piggery, chicken rearing, and these are factors that we have to bring to their attention that are self-sustainable approaches, but also high-generating income opportunities as well.
But Mr. Rosado has been speaking or outlined to us the tiers, and at the top of, or in tier 3, I don't know if it's at the top or the bottom, in tier 3 you have the police. So when the interventions at tier 1 and tier 2 have failed, well, you're in the hands of tier 3. But Mr. Rosado, we know that a lot of abuses in the police department, they come from powerless people, from many of these same poverty-stricken neighborhoods, and they come into power and they seek to abuse that power. They see the police department as another kind of gang, a gang that has, quote unquote, a license to kill, or at least a license to hurt. That's how some police officers see it. I know that you all work very hard to change the culture, but you're dealing with the same traumatized people who are seeking to gain power over their environment, to become someone that society has to reckon with after being, maybe they perceive it as nobody. How do you change this culture in the police department to not be so deliberately punitive and brutal?
I think the direction, and hence the reason the LIU strategic plan has a line item that's focused on capacity and capability. We believe that if we have an educated department, you will see a better behavioral and performance characteristic. You will see greater acceptance of the marginalized. You will see a decrease of dogmatism, rigidity, authoritarianism, and conservatism. You will see less complaints against police. So hence the reason we have in one of our tier that the capacity development, capacity and capabilities. Because not only do we want to develop the capacity to have an educated department, but we also want to focus on smart policing. We want to focus on predictive policing, data-driven approaches, technological advances. Those are areas that we want to focus. We do not want to focus on putting boots on each corner of the street, but we want to basically move in a direction that will advance the department and give us more capabilities.
But sir, I hear you, and that sounds very good, but the government of the day has said that it wants to have 4,000 police officers. That's 1% of our population, by the way. They want to have 4,000 police officers. It sounds preposterous to me because, you know, we always love to say RASS, returning always to the same solution. More boots on the ground, more suppression, more brute force and ignorance.
That's why now the crime prevention and crime control plan, strategic plan that will be launched soon by the Minister of Home Affairs, speaks of a different direction. It's a strategic direction that will see a shift in the way we do policing. And I think that's the direction we should go. And it is embraced by all the stakeholders. I know that we do need, as it stands right now, I believe we are at one police for approximately 170 members of the community. But I do believe that the smart policing concept that the LIU is promoting is the way to go. And also the educating, having an educated department.
But you're saying you have political buy-in from the highest levels of the ministry.
Remember, as leaders within the police organization, we have to be able to manage or link policing objective to those of our elected democratic government. And the direction that the government want to go is a multi-sectoral approach involving everybody in the decision making, involving everybody in putting together the strategies, the initiative, the programs. So my role as a police officer, as a leader within the police organization, is to be able to link policing objectives to those objectives of a democratic elected government. And I believe the direction that or the guidance that the minister wants to go is the right direction. And if we approach it from that three-tier approach that was put together collectively by the stakeholders, I believe we will have better success in managing the crime rate within the country of Belize.
But now, I ask at the top of the segment, when will we start seeing results, short term, medium term, long term? I heard the minister has been boasting that already in the short term we're having results. He's pointing to the sharp downturn in Belize district murders.
If I may add, while we have only launched approximately 10% of the implementation plan of the strategic plan, we are seeing successes. From the mere fact and many of the initiatives we are piloting in Belize City. So when we launch countrywide, I think we will see greater success. Having a reduction in murders within Eastern Division is a success. Involving stakeholders is a success. Engaging the at-risk youths, engaging the marginalized, I see that as a success. And collectively, I believe we can do it and we will do it.
I will challenge you on the first metric, though, because you said that reducing the number of murders in Eastern Division, while we all applaud it, is really a product of just putting a SOE. You all are saying that it's a product of the intervention work you've done.
If I may interject here, the 2020 and 2021, we had the lowest crime rate within the past 10 years. 2020
in the Belize district, in Eastern Division.
In Eastern Division, 2020 and 2021. But those are the product, like what you said, of 3 states of emergency, curfew, the lockdown. So 2020 and 2021
are outliers.
Yes. So I believe the 2022 should be compared to 2019, where you're seeing at least 30% reduction in all major crimes.
In Belize district? Because it's up all over the country.
In Belize district. Because that's where we're piloting.
But you had an SOE this year. You had a Southside state of emergency this year. You had it in Lake Eye. So I can argue, I can credibly argue, that it's just because of the SOE you all are taking a false victory.
The thing is, if you look at the SOE in Lake Eye, the individual, I think it was approximately 25. The impact that it would have had in the entire city is minimal. Not like the SOE in 2020 and 2021, which was broad-based and captured practically all the gang members within the Belize city.
They had 100 man in a jail type of thing.
So you cannot compare that to 2020 and 2021.
Yeah, you can, because it creates a threat, but it's a fair argument. I take your point.
But Jules, let me just interject here a bit, because it's important for us also to look at the initiatives that are in place. And one of those initiatives are the community council. Yeah. We are working with community members, empowering them to work within their communities as change agents. And that is where the Department of Youth Services and some of our other stakeholders have come together, provide training for these persons. We have Futi Gongora, we have Miss Olga Gordon, Timmy Stamp, Sticks, the Port Innovators, and all of these groups across the city now who are taking ownership and advancing within their community with a proactive approach to harness that community support and literally take it back to it takes a village to raise a child. And that is what we want. And so when we say that it's not going to be an overnight fix, it's because we have to make sure that community involvement becomes sexy and a buzz word within these communities, where people who have been sitting by, like you said, criticizing and say, well, the boy just want to kill out an animal, then this, then that, and take the approach by saying, here it happened. I don't want big money in my community. I must could mentor a couple of young boys. Also look at proactive approach. We say that, you know what, let's work to motivate and inspire. Jules has a story. I have a story. Dr. Rosado have a story. And so we have to work with these young persons and say, oh, no, see, Dr. Rosado, that the Deputy Commissioner of Police, he was not always a deputy. He lived a tough childhood, just like many of you. So then they want a black thing. It's just a human thing. And once we look at life through a humanistic perspective, a therapeutic approach to juvenile jurisprudence, where we provide that network and that support, you can't fail, because the problem is not unfixable, but it will take work, it will take time, it will take consistency and continuous development along the way. Monitoring and evaluation has to be a key component. I believe that was missing. This country lacks statistics as it relates to many anomalies that we're faced with. We have to fix these things if we want to get serious.
Man, and that's an important aspect of it, the M&E. In fact, we
M&E?
Yes. Monitoring and evaluation.
Monitoring and evaluation.
And we had a meeting this morning with men. I was impressed with Ms. Mendes, how she is able to open.
From?
UNDP.
Okay.
We discussed with her the implementation plan and how she showed us how it's easy to operationalize. And I said, wow. If they can see it that way, to operate and for us to be able to operationalize the implementation plan and put effective M&E, then I think it is
monitoring
doable.
And evaluation.
Yes. Because that is key. Because as we go from year to year, what we have developed is a 5-year strategic plan. And as we go from year to year, we must have the necessary M&E integrated within the plan. And it is there. Because as we progress, it will help, it will guide us further. And I think that was what was missing in some of the previous initiatives.
There was never monitoring and evaluation, never any metrics, and that's what I want to ask you all, since you all are claiming credit for the downturn in Eastern Division crime. What is the metric that you have to show that, well, X number of interventions led to X number of de-escalations of violence, led to X number of X fewer murders or fewer shootings?
You have to appreciate that many of the initiatives that we are doing in Eastern Division, it serves as a pilot project for us to finalize the strategic plan. So now that the strategic plan will be launched, it has the necessary M&E in it. And going forward...
Okay, so you are the first at the pilot phase. You didn't do M&E, you were just trying to see what works.
Yes, and
but you will have metrics.
Yes.
Going forward to say that,
in fact,
X number of interventions led to X number of...
That's our discussion this morning with Ms. Mendes and others basically focus on that. How can we operationalize each of the line item in the implementation plan? How can we have effective M&E? And I believe what we have in place will be able to have the effective M&E, because this is one of the first strategic plan that involved so much stakeholders, initiative, ideas from so many people.
So in the past, right, and we're not to disrespect nobody, but in the past, you know, I've been covering this for literally the 90s, the first piece at Bird's Isle. That was 94, 95. Every time, you know, you have all this good intention, and Brother Nouri, Edward Brostas, Sharon Palacio, the mayor of Belmopan, worked with CYDP. And, you know, over the years, we've seen the faces change, but the efforts at building a lasting peace have continued. But they have always, at the end, sputtered out, and the war jump off again. The differentiating factor with this effort, you believe, is?
Having the necessary M&E in place.
Having monitoring and evaluation, which creates accountability of the actors.
Yes. That will allow us to have continuity, and that will also allow us to be able to see which initiative we're seeing greater success. And I think that's an important key component in our strategic plan.
Great. With that, we'll take our last commercial break. When we come back, we'll ask them how much of their success is based on the fact that they're the handleman with state money, the LIU, that are the Gute man, in the gang neighborhood. Anybody need Ali handling, you go sign up with Mr. Dawson and you're going to get taken care of. When we come back, we'll ask them that tough question. Stay tuned for a final segment of Uncut.
Run them jewels fast. Run them jewels fast. Run them slow-mo.
Technology is ubiquitous, and it's transforming how, when, and where we work. Fulltech Systems is placing award-winning devices in the hands of information workers, allowing them to work without compromise in a world without wires, to innovate, create, and to maximize productivity anytime, anywhere, satisfying the needs of the desk-centric remote and field worker and every other worker in between. We are providing the industry's best devices to businesses going through the process of digital transformation. Partner with us today to provide the solutions that will allow your employees to work effectively and efficiently to enhance your customers' experience. Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.
Hey, babe, I need some cash.
Okay, right now transfer some.
Short on cash? Make up the difference with V-Bucks. Transfer V-Bucks quickly and easily. Enjoy your shopping experience at V-Mart or any other Benny's entity and get rewarded today.
Mom, nothing fast, but how you do that just now?
V-Bucks?
V-Bucks, rewarding loyalty.
¿Sabías que Hospital Galenia modificó los protocolos de seguridad y prevención de salud ante la pandemia de COVID-19 para evitar contagios?
Se garantiza que todo paciente que llega a quirófano está libre de COVID y durante su periodo de recuperación no va a tener contacto con un paciente infectado.
Hospital Galenia, más que un hospital.
Knowing your HIV status is now easier than ever.
Did you know that you can test for HIV in the comfort of your own home by simply swabbing your gums?
OraQuick is an in-home HIV test that can provide you with results in just 20 minutes. The test detects HIV antibodies with over 99% accuracy and is trusted by healthcare professionals worldwide.
If you receive a positive result, you should contact your nearest healthcare clinic to perform follow-up testing and to get advice on what to do to stay healthy.
And even if you get a negative result, remember, it is important to continue protecting yourself from HIV and other STIs. Using a condom correctly every time you have sex is the best way to do so.
HIV self-testing kit is convenient, reliable, and now available in Belize. Your test, your way. Bob.
For more information on where HIV self-testing kits will be available, please contact the National AIDS Commission, the Belize Family Life Association, or the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
The ocean connects us. The ocean feeds us. The ocean heals us. But the ocean needs us to stop all the damage. There is no economy without ecosystems. We can restore bounty. There can be abundant new life.
It will take all of us. Government and country leaders.
Scientist.
Fisher.
Artist.
Youth leader.
Ocean co-manager.
Business person.
Media.
Teacher. Banker.
Working together to safeguard everything the Caribbean Sea sustains. Revitalization is the goal. Collective action is how we'll make it happen. Join Belize's demand for action from the people who can do what needs to be done. Visit belize.oceana.org to find out how you can get involved.
65 years ago, Don Omario started with one bar and a vision. to capture the taste of Belize and share it with the world. Realizing that this vision would not be easy, the Perdomo family pulled together and rose to the challenge. In 1995, they became the first exporters of fine Belizean rum. 65 years later, with the oldest distillery in the country, their drive for excellence is as strong as ever, gaining them recognition and awards from around the world. But more than that, their core family values and pride in Belize keeps them giving back. The challenges were many, but the compromises were none. In the pursuit of great taste, Travelers Liquors has shown the taste of success is sweet indeed.
The next time you are passing creative marketing at 146 corner of East Collette Canal and Alenby, don't be shy. Come on in.
Welcome to Creative Marketing, where everything is possible.
We offer services like graphic designs for logos or banners or any other special request. Get designs printed on t-shirts for sporting events, special events like birthdays, or for your business. Get your polos or dress shirts officially embroidered with logos or business names. For special requests, our sewing department can get you fixed up with custom preferences. Our in-house name brands like Eliani's collection produces uniform dress shirts and blouses for work or school. Our Z-Tech Sportswear produces fisherman shirts and dry fit polos for males or females. Ask about other items. In other departments, we produce customized banners and fin feathers. At Creative Marketing, there's so much more. So next time you're in need, come take a look. Call us at 207-2023, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram. Creative Marketing, where everything is possible.
Technology is ubiquitous, and it's transforming how, when, and where we work. Full-Tech Systems is placing award-winning devices in the hands of information workers, allowing them to work without compromise in a world without wires, to innovate, create, and to maximize productivity anytime, anywhere, satisfying the needs of the desk-centric remote and field worker and every other worker in between. We are providing the industry's best devices to businesses going through the process of digital transformation. Partner with us today to provide the solutions that will allow your employees to work effectively and efficiently to enhance your customers' experience. Full-Tech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.
Nando's Wholesale is your market leader in Belize's wholesale industry when it comes to high-quality products at the most reasonable and competitive prices. With over 40 years in the wholesale business, Nando's Wholesale embraces the partnership of the hotel industry in Belize by providing world-renowned brands in wines, seasonings, condiments, and cleaners in industrial sizes, as well as small and large kitchen appliances and equipment. Nando's also takes pride in providing one of the quietest and most durable air conditioning systems in Belize with technical support and spare parts. Nando's Wholesale. Professional, reliable, effective, and prompt. Nando's Wholesale always delivers. Visit us at www.nandos.bz or send an email to admin@nandos.bz, or better yet, give us a call today at 222-5000 or 280-8080 to speak to one of our sales representatives today.
Run them jewels fast, run them jewels fast, run them slow mo. Hey.
Welcome back to Uncut, our final segment. Again, we're joined by Dr. Richard Rosado, the Deputy Commissioner of Police, Executive Member of the Leadership Intervention Unit, and William Dawson, the chairman of the Leadership Intervention Unit. And gentlemen, I will ask, you know, a lot of people, or the criticism has been made that the success the LIU is having is because you all are paying gangsters to keep the peace. It's a program that has been tried under previous administrations, and that is the criticism, that you all are using state funds to pay violent people to be peaceful. How do you respond to that criticism?
Well, I wouldn't put it in that manner that they're paying gangsters. What we are doing is having a program that is teaching civic pride within the community, that's teaching them to keep their community clean. But it's not just about keeping their community. Again, we are partnering with the Department of Youth Services, the Community Rehabilitation Department, and other stakeholders to provide capacity building initiatives and life skills. So these guys have to attend different sessions. So they clean for a while and then they have to attend sessions. And that is one of the things that people don't know. So in some of these sessions, conflict resolution is one of the main topics that we discuss. And so when we talk about looking at intervention tactics, we have to also acknowledge that there are times we have to sit around the table and call each other out like men. And this is where the emotional intelligence comes in. And we have to look at redefining masculinity in Belize. We believe that culturally, there is a lot that is expected from our males. And so a lot of the guys have this mask that they put on, but inside they're tearing up. But they were taught that, hey, why not for cry? You know, for the shoulder emotion, the chin up and step out the fool. And so when we have these discussions, some of the issues are trivial, but the only way they know to resolve it is through violent means. And so when they're afforded that opportunity to come to the table and air out their differences, and there's a mediator there, it's certainly a different and welcoming approach. At the end of the day, none of these boys really want to go to prison or to leave their family. A lot of them enjoy being at home with their loved ones and babies or their girlfriend. And this is how we have to target these individuals, by letting them understand, listen to me, Jules more important than early baby. That's the way they try to tell me that you have to go kill Dr. Rosado for prove and point. So when I'm telling baby, you love Jules more than her love your baby, and you have to start inject these realistic components to them and put them on the spot. Well, I can't respect you if that is your MO. And these type of conversation leads them to start to take time out to reflect. We also have to look at the women in their lives. So a part of what we are doing is to have outreach to women as well. And so it's never going to be about paying gangsters, but you'd be surprised that this work program is assisting many of these individuals. Some of them coming to say that they have never received a paycheck in their entire life. They live their whole life, they can get 1-2-1-2. And this is what they're saying. It brings some level of meaning to them. But I'm an active part of society just like everybody else. I get a paycheck.
Remember like what William said, one of the, within tier 1, lack of unemployment, there's employment opportunity, lack of employment opportunity. So what we are doing, while we are creating temporary employment opportunity, we are at the same time developing them with marketable skills, which we believe would eventually lead to meaningful income, which will eventually lead to the opportunity cost of committing a crime, increase the opportunity cost of committing a crime. So
explain that concept.
The opportunity cost of committing a crime, if you have a source of income, we believe then that an individual will not sacrifice that meaningful income to go to prison. So while they have temporary employment, the marketable skills are being developed, which will increase the likelihood of getting gainful income and increase the opportunity cost of committing a crime.
You gave an extended explanation, Mr. Dawson, but at the end of the day, there are law-abiding citizens out there who clean their own neighborhoods, clean their own surroundings, and will say, I don't get paid for that, and I shouldn't get paid for that. They shouldn't either. That is what some people argue.
And I respect that opinion, but like I said, we have to look at the root cause of the behavioral pattern of these persons. They might not have been able to access, because there are poor people all around, but they have a lot of poor people who have that structure in their home where there's a mom and there's a dad, or there's a mom or a dad, but instill that morals and that values in their children. But at the same time, we have to look at it through a psychological perspective where these people were not able to access this type of opportunity before. So we have to open them up to understand that the way you're living is not normal, sir. You're not even able to come out of your own community.
How many people are on the LIU's payroll?
I would say close to 300 people.
Not payroll, but
not payroll, a temporary employment, like what the doctor said, because at the end of the day, like I explained, they have to attend programs. Some of these programs are entrepreneurial programs. After you finish these programs, there is access to startup funds. You get your business registered. These are all things that we see would help us in the interim.
But there's only so many times you can clean up your neighborhood.
And that's why there are cycles. It's not one set of person if they run. In fact, the 100 persons you've seen, there will be 4 cycles of 100 people.
Is it a type of, it can be argued, it's a type of societal extortion that, oh no, while we hold it down, run our money. Because the reason we did do this is because we not got no money.
No, like I say, if we have all these systems in place, eventually what you will see is a change in mindset, a cultural paradigm shift, where that can't be the MO of this hands-out mentality, which again was something I believe was created through the political relationship along the way over the years. And
clientelism.
The clientelism has to stop. And like I said, you have to instill these new concepts of responsibility in these people that here to happen. You can't tax me because I had to work. You could work to make your own money.
But is it incentive-based insofar as that, all right, perhaps in the immediate term, you know, we need to incentivize people to say, all right, work with this program. But is there a time limit that you can say, well, either you get with it and you matriculate to the other stage of the program where you are self-reliant.
Exactly.
Because society can't take care of you forever.
Obviously not. And so it's not about giving them a fish, it's teaching them how to fish. But sometimes you have to give them a fish until a fish get hooked. And then they realize, boy, this is sweet when I catch my own fish. And so from a layman's perspective, it's just being able to hold your hand until you could step off on your own, which I don't think is a bad thing, and Belize is not the only country who have taken that approach, you know, to provide an incentive to persons, not only gang affiliated. There's many people on the program who are law-abiding citizens. But of course, with the abject poverty, you'll never be able to hire everybody who is living below their means.
From a lawman's perspective, Mr. Dr. Rosado, you know, I know that there are many in the department who resent any threat to the status quo. And what you have outlined for me tonight is certainly a threat to the status quo. We see so much of the emphasis of the police department is on, you know, these specialized units, and these response teams, quick response teams, mobile interdiction team, GI3, all these paramilitary units. That's the pride of the department. And what the course you support seems to be a type of demilitarization of the police. Because we know as the police increase their militarization, and their arms, the gangs do the same. I'm saying that how do you affect the culture change in the department when the status quo, which includes the senior command, continue to cling for good reason to business as usual?
The thing is, the changing culture is not easy. And we have recognized that in changing a culture, you have to address the climate. In organizational leadership, they have always told us, you know what, the organizational climate must be influenced in order for the culture to change. And what we are doing as an LIU, the team has been promoting and has been meeting with the senior command with the hope of assisting them in embracing the new direction that we want to go.
Have they been receptive?
For the most part, we have some individuals that are reluctant to embrace the new strategic direction. But we believe that eventually the department will embrace that direction.
Now, as we're winding down, gentlemen, what do you all see as what would you say to the average cynical person out there who says that, man, this is just one more of the same incarnation? I know you have specified certain structural differences, but what would you say to give society hope that within their lifetime, within our lifetime, we will see a sustained decline in this gang warfare that has come to dominate our lives, especially in the city?
I think the key here is for each one of us, including the media, including all the members of the community, to try to embrace and promote a shared vision in managing crime. If we can do that, I think we will see better success. The transition will not be easy because it's a strategic direction. We are already used to a traditional approach of how we do policing. So this transition will not happen overnight. But I am confident that our stakeholders, inclusive of the community, are open to a comprehensive approach in addressing crime. And that is what we are presenting, a comprehensive approach in addressing crime that is all-inclusive, that have looked at all what have been done in the past and put in the necessary structure and the system in place to ensure that it succeeds. And
how many years? 20 years?
Honestly, we had within the committee, we had a team that specifically reviewed what was done in the past and based on their analysis, that guide us in putting our plan together. We know that in they had some good programs, and I think that it also helped us in putting together the strategic plan. The effort going forward, I believe, if the police department embrace the strategic direction, embrace the smart policing concept, embrace predictive policing, embrace database approach to policing, embrace technological advances, we will see greater success.
Time frame?
The thing is, it's...
Manage our expectations, sir.
I believe that we will see gradual success. And within the time frame that we are putting for the strategic plan is 5 years.
Okay.
And we should see some success within that 5 years.
You mentioned others are reviewing other programs. Where is the overlap between the LIU and Restore Belize?
Now, some of the concepts that Restore Belize had was good. Some of the programs they had, they were good. We noticed that in some of their programs, it was more institutionalized and not community-based. We know that it promoted grassroots participation, but it did not have the grassroots participation in developing the plan. Well, at least that we saw. We noticed that the necessary support system in many of the programs were lacking. So many things, while they had some good programs, some good initiative, it served us to guide us in putting together our plan.
But operationally now, is there duplication of effort between the LIU and Restore Belize?
Restore Belize, from what I was made to understand, they have scaled down a lot.
Okay.
So their focus is somewhat different from what we are doing. But they play an integral role in assisting us in our crime prevention and crime control plan.
Mr. Dawson, you're not as young as you look.
Younger than me, you know.
I know he is. He look younger. So, but Mr. Dawson, when will your children or your grandchildren, will they know a Belize, particularly a Belize City? But there are other areas where there are gangs. That is not where life is not so dominated by gang violence.
Like Dr. Rosado said, the plan is a 5-year plan, and we believe that if there is consistency with, and connectivity and that monitoring and evaluation aspect to the approach, if all the stakeholders bring their resources and we tackle the issue, I believe in 5 years you should see us yielding
greater success.
Greater success, because at the end of the day, like I said, just piloting the programs, we already see that there is a push forward to have stakeholders come to the table and be a part of the initiative. But more so, those young men that we refer to as gangs are a minority, basically. And it seems that if though we have sat back and complained instead of saying, here what happened. 100 we get together and say, Jules, that you to run this black here, and look here, we can't continue to live this way. And the relationship with the police is not supposed to be that the police only come when they arrest. So the community police is the next important stakeholder, where the police is injecting himself or herself into the community, into the schools, building that rapport, and not waiting for a child to be arrested. The conversation is beginning, whereby you shouldn't see the police as an enemy or as an adversary. Like you rightly mentioned, the police is a product of the same communities. So why can't all of us come together to build our community instead of tearing it down? It's very simple. But you cannot sit from where you are, moral high place, and say, oh, them dirty bad picnic there. No, we have to get down, roll up a sleeve and get involved. Then you could criticize. If you have never been in a ghost town, if you have been through Majestical, if you have never been in a Gongolong, how you could criticize the efforts of people who understand the pain, who understand the struggle. We were a part of that struggle, and we are here to say that you can make it out. But it takes people who are real, who have the passion, who want to see that change, not only to do it for the camera, and when time the big check in the past, who literally get down there and they said to themselves, I refuse to see this young man fail. And I'm going to get in my big time friend there if we have to, like where some people do right now, is get together and pay the sleeper school fees and buy a lunch, but you want to finish school. How much millionaires and billionaires and trillionaires live that Belize? What are you contributing to the cause? So I strongly believe that if everybody comes to the table and we understand that crime, they're not Chester problem, they're not Dr. Osada problem, they're not Jules problem, they're all our problem. And until we continue to look at ourselves as a part of the solution and not a part of the problem, then I really think that we have no part in the equation. So for me, somebody who's on the ground, who understands the reality, it's important that these type of initiatives are continuous and that there's the support necessary. Again, not to knock the media, we know that when I say what bleeds leads.
If it bleeds, it leads.
We have to change that culture, because it can't be that when I look on 6:30 news, I don't know who gets shot, and nobody gets shot, to click off the news, because then you lose viewers then too. But if we start promoting pro-social behavior, promoting positive stories, highlighting people who are doing so well, we not just look at the young people who are committing crimes, we want to the one where they do good. We want to the success stories of people who have been through that lifestyle, who are in society right now in very high places, but shame to say where they come from. shame to tell them background that them are the hustler, them are a hustler, you know, until we start being real to ourselves. And when poor people look at it and say, well, all the big man and the thief and they set up thing, and also white as well, we do it too. So there has to be that linkage with the different worlds, the underworld and the overworld, you know, where we understand that behind the cameras or under the table, deal they get mixed with the same people with the punish and the label.
Finally tonight, gentlemen, please tell me, how does this alliance work? On the face of it, I believe you're from San Ignacio, Dr. Rosado. Am I right?
I spent, my dad is originally from Belize City, so I grew up until about age 9 from in Belize City.
Okay.
My dad was a police officer.
Okay, I know that.
He was stabbed 8 times in the line of duty. I come from a family of police officers. I have spent part of my life in San Ignacio, but I have lived 22 years in Belmopan.
Okay, so you are from the Cayo district. Mm-hmm. You are somebody in society would be called a mestizo. Mm-hmm. You are a person of African descent from Belize City. You all come from very different backgrounds. You're a social worker. You are an academic and a law enforcement. You've chosen that as your career. How do you all have this alliance that seems so seamless? You all actually are a functioning team. A lot of times you see people have a team and then they undermine each other. But you guys really do get along and see a complex problem in the same way.
You quarrel a lot too, you know, so that we quarrel a lot.
Healthy.
I think that we share the same vision that the certain group have been marginalized. We share the vision with the same view that resources have not been allocated to certain group, have not then been distributed the way it should. We share the same view that we must work collaboratively in order for us to get over this. We share the same philosophy in many aspects. While me and William practically sometimes are up 2, 3 in the morning. When I was in Eastern Division, we were on the ground. In fact, he was like my deputy, and we were on the ground. Whenever there's an incident, he was with me, and we were trying to diffuse situation. And up to now, when situation develop, we would communicate how best to address it. So I think we do make a great team, and I think our debate has always been, if we do have debate, was basically, you know, why would the police approach this way? And it has always been that we as a department has always embraced the traditional approach to policing. And now that we are going to a new strategic direction, it will take some time for them to adjust to this new strategic direction. And my friend is receptive to that. So our debate has been between the traditional approach now and the direction we want to go.
Let me also add that I told Dr. Rosado this when we started off, there was a lot of resistance from the rank and file of the police department. And people literally saying, you know what, you can't tell me if you're not a civilian, you can't talk to me about no policing. And so we have seen that change, and we've been getting that support. A part of the intervention process is where there's issues that arise, and before the police really look at arresting and charging, they put the issue to mediation. And that has worked very well for us, where you say, listen to me, you slap this man, and the man they say no personal charges, but what really happened between Ono and the police has given us that opportunity on many occasions to flesh things out. Of course, where there's issues that is beyond our control, we have to allow the police to do what they need to do if there's a need to make an arrest in a situation that warrants that approach, no? But at the end of the day, like I said, it's building rapport, it's a cultural shift, a shift in mindset, whereby the police are not supposed to be seen as the enemies, and likewise to have a level playing field where citizens also understand their responsibility in giving the police their respect as well. We have to learn to respect each other so that we can coexist. When we talk about restoring citizen security, it's about citizens taking ownership of their livelihood, not the next way around. So we cannot allow people within the community to destroy the community, to instill fear in the community. And so when we sit with these boys on many occasions, people think we're having this conversation that we're powdering them, we're letting them understand that as leaders, you so-called leaders, you have responsibility. Your neighborhood is not supposed to be afraid of you. When gangbanging started in Belize, there was a culture, there was a system in place for its Bronx during the days. It has changed tremendously, where you see a lot of inter-gang rivalry right now because of the change in mindset and approach, where even the younger gangbangers don't respect the older ones.
Right.
You know, so that again is an additional issue for us to work on resolving, because no, some of the older gangbangers say, well, if we don't deal with them, why we not take them out ourselves? So it's very complex, like I said, but you would have to be a part of the machine to understand how it operates. You can't be the engineer from outside where they look and inspect. You have to come check the different parts. And until we reach that point and that stage where people are saying, you know what, this is not a black thing, this is not a people thing. You have a lot of youths in Kuman Lagoon where people don't know. We have relationship or community council that we're building in Kuman Lagoon. There's a lot of Hispanic young boys in that neighborhood.
MS.
We need attention.
And that's another important aspect that have been yielding some success, the community councils that have been formed in the different neighborhoods. Because like what William said, we are promoting, or we are advocating for the community to help us to police the community. And we are having great success across the areas where those community councils have been established.
Well, excellent, gentlemen. We have to end our show on that hopeful note. We want to thank you both for coming from the LIU. We know that your days, every day on the meet all day, especially in this last period when you're going through the review. We also want to thank our sponsors, Bennett's Home Center, Creative Marketing, Full Tech Systems, Galenia Hospital, Mikado Store, Nando's Wholesale, National AIDS Commission, Oceana in Belize, Radisson Fort George, RF&G Insurance Company, Travelers Limited. Thanks so much for tuning in to Uncut tonight. Thanks to you gentlemen from the LIU. Tune in next week for another edition of Uncut. Good night. Be safe.
Run them jewels fast, run them jewels fast, run them slow mo.